welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our brand new giant thank you die and also our giant thanks so much die. So let's go ahead and check these out. First up, we have the giant thank you die, and I love these giant word dies so much because you get this big bold sentiment on your cards. And then next up, we have the giant thanks so much die. This one's even bigger with the large so in the center, which reminds me of our sending big hugs die. And it's really fun to decorate or add little critters in that O. We're first going to create a card with the thanks so much, and we're going to be using the Simple Stripes portrait die. We're going to be die cutting some blue Jay cardstock and also some white cardstock, and we're going to do an alternating blue and white pattern. We're starting out with a standard size card base at 5.5 by 4.25. Cover it with adhesive, and then we'll start alternating all of these pieces. So blue and white and then blue and white. And because we die cut full sheets of these, we also have some extra ones so we can make an entirely other blue and white alternating pattern, which is super cool. I love these simple stripe dies so much. Now here is the Sweater Weather 6x6 pad, and we're going to be using the blue houndstooth from this, and we're going to be die cutting with the largest of the small stitched rectangles, which is going to give us this really cute 1/4 inch border so that you can see those cute stripes peeking out. I love cutting these giant word dies out of pattern paper, and there's this really awesome kind of golden yellow polka dot in the Sweater Weather paper, and we're going to be die cutting the thanks so much from that, and it's going to look so cute with that subtle polka dot on it. Next, we've gone ahead and taken out Our Friendship Grows and Hey Lady. We're going to stamp, color, and die cut some of the sunflowers and those cute little ladybugs on there. And we're going to layer these onto this word die cut. And right now we're recreating a card by Audrey, so thank you so much, Audrey. And those hands there are Rebecca's hands, so awesome job creating this card, Rebecca. So we're going to add some tape runner to the back of the thanks so much and layer that in the center of that rectangle die. And you can see that it's a really nice match for that largest stitched rectangle. We'll add some tape runner to those leaves and layer them behind the sunflower, and then add some foam squares behind the sunflower and layer that over the O, and you can see just how cute this is. And then we're going to do the same thing with the ladybug and the little leaf and that little trail. And so this card design is absolutely adorable, and I love that you could take other images from other stamp sets and do a similar design, which is so cute and quick and easy to create a lot of these cards so that you're always ready with the thank you card. We're going to add some foam squares to the back of this panel and then layer that onto our striped backdrop. And that is our card. It's so cute, so fun. It's clean and simple, but absolutely adorable. And I can't wait to see if you guys create variations on this card with different images. Make sure to share it with us. Next up, we're going to be creating a Flippy Flappy card with the thank you die. I'm so excited about this card. And we're going to be starting off with one of the scalloped rectangles. So if you remember from the intro video, and I'll link it in the description below, we talked about how the base has to be 3 3/4 by 5. Well, this scalloped rectangle is that exact size, so you can use this for the Flippy Flappy as well. We're going to start off by decorating this a little bit, and we're going to take some Tumble Grass Distress Oxide ink and a big fluffy brush here, and I'm going to add the ink to the center, starting darkest in the center and lightest towards the outsides. Smear some ink on my mat and mix it with some water to create some little splatters. So I'm going to tap the paintbrush and create little splatters all over the background just for some extra interest. Then we're going to take another scalloped rectangle here, and we're going to die cut it with the grass that's from the mushroom border. And so we're going to die cut that so that it has that cute little scalloped border, but it has the grass on top. And then we're going to do some distress inking as well. So we're going to add peeled paint distress ink and then a little bit of mowed lawn over that just to add a little more green to it. And then we're going to do the same thing with the peeled paint ink. We're going to smear it on the mat, add a little bit of water, pick it up with our paintbrush, and add splatters all over the card. Next, we're going to work with the mushrooms in the mushroom border. So we've die cut the mushrooms from some vanilla malt cardstock, and then we've die cut the mushroom caps out of some white cardstock, and we're going to add colors with Copic markers. So on each cap, I'm just going dark to medium to light, and that's going to give it a nice dynamic look, which is going to look really cool with that ink blended background. Now it's time to add the little mushroom caps to our mushroom border. So we're going to add some liquid glue behind them with the glue tube and then layer them on, and I just love seeing this little mushroom forest come to life. Die cut the mushroom border. I didn't have it quite the exact size, and I knew that was okay because I could just trim off any of the excess, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to layer our grass piece there and then just trim off any of that excess of the vanilla malt cardstock, and it doesn't matter if it looks ugly because it's all going to be covered up by the grass. And I just love the look of that light red with that olive green grass, and then now you can see how it looks over that blue sky that we created. So next up, it's time to take out the giant thank you die. And here I have some ground coffee cardstock. So we're going to run that through the die cut machine and have this beautiful dark brown thank you. And we're going to be adding some white gel pen lines. Grace always does this and I think it looks so very, very cute. So we're just going to add those all around. And whenever you do that on these giant words, it gives it kind of a bubbly, cartoony effect that I really love. Next, we'll add some tape runner on the back of the mushrooms and layer that onto our scalloped panel. And we're also going to add some tape runner onto the thank you and layer that on the panel too. We're going to be creating a flippy floppy, so we want everything nice and flat. Now it's time to create the Flippy Flappy mechanism, and we're going to take out that same scalloped rectangle that's 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and we're going to be taking the mechanism creator piece here, and we're going to be lining that up in the center of this card. And so you see there's a little arrow on the bottom of that die. That arrow is going to point towards that left side of the cardstock, and it's going to line up with the very edge of the scallop. We're going to hold it in place with some low tack tape and run it through the die cut machine. We're also going to die cut the tab as well, and then we're going to be labeling these front and back. And this just helps me keep everything in order. So we've got the front on these, and it's easy to tell the front of the tab because it has this really pretty stitching. So where it looks really nice, that's the front. Then we're going to flip over to the back of both of them and label them. Now to work with this die, we're going to flip back over to the front and we're going to do some folding along the score lines that the die line created for us. And so we're going to fold each of these little pieces here towards ourselves, and there are 5 little folds. And we're going to flip it over and we're going to fold them in the other direction. And I'm creasing them really well with my bone folder. We're going to fold all 5 of those towards ourselves as well to make sure that those little folds are going to work great in our mechanism. Next up, we're going to take that tab. We're going to make sure that both of them say back. So we're looking at the back of the folded piece and the back of the tab. And then we're going to feed through that folded piece through the slot in the tab. And we're going to make sure that only one of those little folded pieces are peeking out. Next, we're going to add some strong double-sided tape to that folded piece that's peeking out of that tab. And then we're going to fold that piece over and adhere it to the tab. And as we do that, we're going to make sure we're butting up right against that fold, and then we're going to press it right down. So we're going to peel up that adhesive and attach it right to that tab. Next, we're going to take some foam tape and we're going to fold it in on itself to give it some double height so that there's lots of room for that mechanism to move. And if you use foam squares, you also want to double the height of those. So we're just going to rip that piece off and then we're going to cut it in half, and we're going to have pieces that are about 1/4 of an inch wide, and we're going to attach those to the left and right side, and we're going to put it on those sides only because we want to make sure there's plenty of space for our mechanism to move. Next, we're going to work on our card base, and we're going to be creating a standard size card base at 5.5 by 4 1/4, and we're going to add some of the paper from the 6x6 pad of the Into the Woods collection, which is such a cute fall collection I just love. And we're going to take the paper that has the blue and the green in it, so it's going to match our background, and I went ahead and die cut that with the largest of the stitch rectangles, which is going to be that 5.5 by 4 1/4. We're going to layer that onto the card base, and then we can start to work with layering our Flippy Flappy on top. So we're going to peel up that liner paper on the foam, and then we're just going to center it right into that rectangle. So I'm just going to go right in the center with about 1/4 inch border all of the way around. Then I always like to pull the tab to make sure my mechanism is working really well. And then we're going to add our adhesive. Now, if you've watched the intro to Flippy Flappy video, we're going to do something a little bit different from the adhesive this time. And that's because we're having something quite large move in the Flippy Flappy. So we're just going to add adhesive towards the top and the bottom there. So we're just adding our tape runner, top and bottom. And then we're going to be able to attach that panel that we worked on at the beginning right over top. And those scallops are going to line up perfectly since we cut them with the die. Now, what we're going to have move in our Flippy Flappy is this super cute new die, which is called Cheery Deer. And so you can see it's one of our fun paper piecing dies. So we're going to get both of the pieces, the base and the part that has all the little puzzle pieces for this. We're going to die cut the Cheery Deer piece that has all of the actual pieces from some white cardstock, and you'll see there that we've just stuck it to a full stick post-it just to keep all of the little pieces together. And then we're going to do something with our double-sided adhesive sheet. So we're going to cut a double-sided adhesive piece to the size of that base die, and this is going to make it very easy to adhere everything together. So I'm just going to trim a piece off, and I'm going to peel off one of the layers there, the back layer, and attach that onto my cardstock. Then I'm going to take that base die and we're just going to run it through and die cut it. And that's going to create our own custom deer shaped sticker. The next step is to get the little frame piece. So I'm going to pop out all of the interior pieces, and then we're going to peel up the liner paper on that base piece, and we're going to attach this piece down. And so we're going to have the whole thing is going to be sticky. We're going to attach our frame piece down, and then we're easily going to be able to drop in the pieces we color because the adhesive is all there ready and waiting. Next, I've taken out a second deer piece that I cut. You wouldn't need to do this. You could just use the interior pieces that you have from your frame. But for the video, it was a little bit nicer to look at it this way. And we're going to color these in with some Copic markers. And I really, really love this look. And so we're going to be shading in all of the different pieces and then slowly filling in our puzzle so that we can see what it's going to look like. So we're going to go with the E30s at first for the deer. And those are my favorite colors for deer. And then once I have those body pieces placed in, we're going to work on the antlers. And that's how I'm going to work through this whole deer. We're going to pick the sections that have the same markers, essentially. We're going to color those in, fill in the puzzle, and then keep moving on. So for the antlers, we're just doing a little bit of warm gray that kind of fades out into nothing. Next up, we're going to do a little pink for the ears. And then we're going to work on the face and body, which I really like using the E50 markers for. And I use the same markers that I color our deer stamped images that I use with these cool paper piecing images. Then we can start to fill those pieces in the puzzle. And I just love doing this, not only watching the deer come to life, which is so fun, but it's just very satisfying to pop those little pieces in. Like, it just makes me feel like calm, you know? I really like it. So the little eyepieces I colored with just a plain black marker, and we're just going to drop those in. And then we're going to start working on the little hooves, and we're going to use some neutral grays for those, and we'll color them in and pop them in. Now you'll see that we're using a white frame. Usually with deer, I like to use a black frame, but this was a different look because it's a softer background that Grace used, and it's really, really fun. But we are going to have to do something a little bit special because he has a white frame, and that's fill in his nose and smile. So all you need to do is add like a little tiny oval nose with a dark brown marker, and then just color in that little smirk that he has, and you can see just how cute he looks. And then here I'll show you a little comparison to a holiday card that we created with the cheery deer. So I love that you can use the cheery deer on its own or more in like a Christmas or holiday feel. And so here's the one cut in black. You can see that the black kind of colors in the nose and mouth for you. And if you do it in white, all you need to do is add a dark brown marker for the mouth and the nose. Now it's time to finish up the Flippy Flappy mechanism. The first thing we're going to do is decorate that flap. So I went ahead and die cut the little decorative arrow piece out of some woodgrain cardstock, and we're going to add some tape render to that and add that on there. And then we're going to be really brave and stamp on the tab. Once again, should have stamped on the tab before. I never remember until after, so was just very careful. And we're going to stamp Why Hello Dear, which comes from our For You Dear stamp set. And now is where we're going to do something a little bit different with the Flippy Flappy. So if you saw the intro video, the die has this really cool little skinny rectangle that you can use to have images flop in and out. Now for this deer, he's pretty big and he has a lot of pieces that are like poking out. If he was more solid, this wouldn't be an issue, but he's got a lot of detail. And so a nice way to get him to have a really great mechanism is to use a larger piece of acetate. And the cool thing is that you can do this with the Flippy Flappy. So we just added some adhesive to that exposed tab there, and then we're going to grab this little scalloped piece cut of acetate, and that's going to attach to that adhesive. So instead of using the skinny little piece, we're just using a larger piece of acetate. And I love that about Flippy Flappy is that you can do all sorts of different sizes. So if you want your piece to feel just a little more sturdy as it comes out, as if you're using a larger die cut or something layered like this is a really cool way to do it. So right there, we added some more double-sided adhesive, and then we're going to add our cover-up piece so that it looks nice and finished and we don't see any of that exposed adhesive with the acetate. And then we're going to add our cute little cheery deer on. And I made a mistake when I added him on, and I wanted to leave it in here because I thought it was a fun troubleshooting moment. So I added some adhesive onto him, and when I attached him on there, I didn't realize that that right antler wasn't actually attached to the acetate. And when I did that, what you'll see is when you bring him in, he kind of got caught, and I didn't have as smooth of an action because of that antler that's sticking out. So all I need to do is just remove him. I'm going to add a little bit more adhesive to the back of that antler piece, and then I'm going to attach him onto that acetate just a little bit better. And so that's just a fun little moment to see, like, all you need to do is just peel him off, a little more tape, secure him to the acetate, and then it's going to work perfectly. And here you're going to see that. So as we push that tab in, now that action is so nice because we have a nice larger piece of acetate for our larger die cut layered image. Our next step is to add another little sentiment. So we're going to take the For You Dear stamp set and we're going to stamp You Are Dear to Me here on a little sentiment banner and add that into the grass. And I just adore this card. Thank you so much for this gorgeous card, Grace. It's absolutely stunning. I just had so much fun creating it. And I love that that thank you is our big, bold image, right, with that giant die cut. And that the card looks so cute even before you pull out the tab. But once you pull out the tab and that deer pops up, oh my goodness, I mean, how cute is that? I also loved getting to use the Flippy Flappy in a little bit of a different way with a larger piece of acetate to give more support to my big layered die cut image. So this was so much fun to create, and I am so excited for you guys to see the next card because Shari is going to be doing a really cool ink smooshing technique for her fall leaves backdrop and creating a very cute thank you card. So take it away, Shari.
So I am creating a thank you card using the new giant thank you die, and I'm also going to be using the fall leaves backdrop die. So I have a piece of distressed white heavy stock paper here, and I'm going to do some inky techniques on it. I'm making sure I have enough of it covered in this squeezed lemonade color. And then I've got some carved pumpkin that I'm going to smush all over my craft sheet here, and I'm going to add some water. So I put down that layer of yellow just so that I made sure I covered up all the white. And then now I am picking up that carved pumpkin ink on top of the yellow. So I'm going to be layering the distress ink colors together using some wet techniques. And I'm just going to dry it with my drying tool here between each layer. So this is not the same tool I use for embossing. This is a Ranger heated craft tool, so it doesn't get quite as hot, and it works really well to dry the layers when you're doing techniques like this. So you can see I'm just picking up more and more spots, and when you dry in between, you get that nice layer of texture between your colors. I'm going to add some more droplets, adding a little less water. I'm going to swish it around with my paintbrush so that I get some darker, more concentrated drops. You can see that on top of the other orange. Now this is the same carved pumpkin ink, so you just get more and more color the more layers you add. And then again, I'm just going to dry that with that tool. I've also got some Crackling Campfire, so this is a really pretty red color. I put some water on that and swished it around with my paintbrush again, and I'm going to try and pick up just a few of those dots around the outside edge where my die cut's going to be. I don't want to cover up my orange and my yellow too much. Again, I'm just drying it in between layers. And then now that I'm finished, I'm going to take that new fall leaves backdrop die and die cut this inky piece with that really fun die. I really love this new backdrop die. Once I have that cut, I'm going back in with that Crackling Campfire and a blending brush and just darkening up the edges so it has that really nice contrast around the edges. I'm not pulling that ink too far in. I want to keep all that texture and those inky splatters that I did when I was doing all those wet techniques. Now I'm going to create a little ground because I'm going to have a little mouse on this card, so he needs a place to sit. And I've cut that from some Watercolor Wishes green pattern paper, and then I'm just going to darken up the edge of it with some Twisted Citron Distress ink. For my card base, I'm going to create sort of a really pale blue sky, so I'm inking directly onto my card base with some salvaged patina ink. I'm pulling this in from the outside edges towards the center. The center I'm going to leave white. So this is very pale and it's going to be behind that backdrop. And as I'm inking that background, I'm just going to lay that fall leaves backdrop over it just to kind of see how much of that blue you're going to see. It covers up a lot of it, so I want to pull it in enough to where you see a little bit of it like it's a sky. So once I have the ink blending with the brush done the way I want, I'm going to add some splatters. Now this is the same color ink, but it is the oxide version, and I'm just adding some water to it. I've smushed it on my craft mat here, I'm adding some water and picking it up with my paintbrush and adding some of those splatters. So they're the same color, but they're a little bit darker and they're going to have that chalky oxide look once they dry. I'm flicking it off an acrylic block to get those really tiny splatters in addition to the larger ones. Here's that giant thank you die. I've cut it from some chili pepper cardstock, so you're going to get that really bright red sentiment. I'm trimming down that piece of Watercolor Wishes paper that I inked earlier so that it's the right height for my little ground here. And I've just adhered that directly to the card base now that all that inking and splattering is nice and dry. For my fall leaves backdrop frame, I'm just adding some liquid glue around all four sides so that it's stuck down really well. And then I'm just adding some glue to all those leaves so that everything is well stuck down on the front and I won't get any leaf caught on anything to where it pulls up. So I'm just lining that up and making sure that I tap down all those leaves so they're all nice and adhered down. Then I can pull in my giant thank you, and then I have this little mouse from the You Autumn Know set, that one that's really excited. He's like the yay mouse. And he's going to go in front of the O in the thank you. He's what's going to be sitting on that little hill. So I've put that giant thank you down, and then I'm popping him up on some foam squares so he is popped up, has a little dimension from the background. And then finally, I'm adding some gold glitter stickles to the little berries, just as an added little detail to the frame around this card. And then here is my finished card, and I just think that little mouse is so cute, and I love that giant thank you die.
Thank you so much for this super cute card, Shari. I can't wait to try that smooshing technique. It's so cool. Next up, we have the most amazing cards by the design team. And first up, this card by Lynette is so cute with Happy Harvest. And I love how she cut her thank you out of the new sweater weather paper. This card by Tiffany is so sweet. I love the vellum of the pattern paper and how she added our tiny friends poking out from behind the letters and the smiley faces on the letters too. So cute and fun. This card by Mindy is absolutely adorable. I love the theme with the books and the shelves, and the thank you cut out of gold looks so cool. Megan turned a slimline card into a pencil-shaped card, and it is the coolest thing ever. I love it so much, and the little stamped message over the "so" looks so sweet and fun. These cards by Elise are awesome, and it's using our brand new peppermint backdrop die, but not with a peppermint look. She's done a tone-on-tone with pink and turquoise, layered her die cuts on top, and added her little stamped "so very much," and these cards are just perfect. This card by Letitia is so cute and fun, and that little bow in the corner just tops it off perfectly. I love that she used the word paper from Sweater Weather. It's one of my favorites. And then I love how Lynette combined the giant thank you with our Thanks a Bushel stamp set, which is an older set. It's a great mix and match, and it's perfect with the apples from the Sweater Weather paper. And then this card by Melissa is so sweet and cute. I love how she layered the thanks so much on that scalloped die cut. It looks amazing, and with the little mice around it is so fun. So we can't wait to see how you guys use these dies, so make sure to share with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!